Let's create some magical clothing together. Hi, I'm Isabel, A Curious Tale. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'd like to share with you my process for making a magical coat, for upcycling a treasure I found in a charity shop using some simple and accessible techniques, and hopefully you'll be inspired to create your own customized, upcycled, magical garment full of symbols and colors and aesthetics that you really love, and something that's going to be really personal and really fun to wear. I'd like to share how I started. I found this coat in a charity shop, and it wasn't really my colour, but I really liked the construction and I really liked the fit, so I thought this will be the perfect starting point for creating my coat of dreams, as it were. And you know, you could do this with any garment, but I just really have a thing for coats and jackets, and I think through this I hope to share just how it can be so fun to play around with clothing and to take a garment that someone didn't want and make it into something that is so special to you, completely unique, and depending on how you think about these things, it could even be something that's imbued with its own soul or spirit, or something that is very meaningful to your wider journey, or it could just be something you love to wear and you know, probably get complimented on. Who knows, let's see. But yeah, please join me as I create my coat, and then you can let me know if you plan to do something similar. So let's get started. This is the coat I got in my local Marie Curie charity shop. It was £8 and the brand is Uniqlo. And the important thing here is that I saw it was a cotton and linen blend. So that means I'll easily be able to dye it using a simple washing machine fabric dye. I really like how it's a summery overcoat. It's nice and lightweight, but it has quite a nice structure. It's got pockets, and so I think this is going to be a great canvas for my project. I also picked up this waistcoat that I actually got about 15 years ago on Takeshi Todori in Harajuku, Tokyo, because I absolutely love it, but I just don't really wear it because of the colour, so I thought I'll just chuck this in at the same time. And this is the Dylon dye pod that I'm using. I chose olive green, and these are super simple. You just put them in the washing machine with your clothes, and I've had really good results in the past. I always really thoroughly read the instructions though, because I doubt myself every time. So here's the starting point, and this is how the waistcoat turned out. I knew that the thread would stay its original colour because it was synthetic, and I really love how the rest of it turned out. Funnily enough, you can see that even the wooden beads dyed green, which is quite a nice little addition. But yeah, this is the colour of the waistcoat, and you can see that the coat has turned out a little bit darker, which I also really like. I got really even coverage because I made sure to wash the clothing first before I dyed it. So that's it's listed in the instructions, but I just think that's quite a good tip. So then I went through my embroidery thread, and I wanted to pick a colour scheme. I've been really inspired by a lot of Central Asian art, and so I went for a sort of red and green colour scheme. And then I just used a textile pen to draw my design on the back, which is a Kabbalah skull cup with blood in it. And then I just got to work stitching. Apart from the design on the back, I didn't really use a pen to draw anything on. The rest I just sort of eyeballed and I just stitched, and I didn't have a plan, to be honest. I really just started out with some simple running stitches to see where it took me. I started off by following all of the lines of the hems and the lines of the garment, because I thought that was quite intuitive and a good way to start. And as I started doing that, I then added a lot of crosses, and I really like how that turned out when I put them around the cuff. So I then added them all the way down the side of the garment as well, and then later on the pocket. So you can see that's just my simple running stitch, which on its own, you know, it doesn't look that interesting, but when you put this all over the garment in a nice contrasting color, I think it has a really lovely effect. And as you can see, I spent hours and hours basically just like this. I, you know, had my playlist on, I was watching my YouTube videos of choice, chatting, having a great time. Here I was actually staying at my family's, and yeah, I think it's just such a relaxing thing to do, hand sewing, and to just slowly chip away at projects like this. I personally find it really, really fun. I think if you didn't, it would be quite a tedious process, but for me, I enjoy it. Here's a white chalk pencil, and I use that to draw a design on the pocket because I had left my textile pen at home. And this is the finished finished product, and that's the back. The front, I put an eyeball on the lapel because I tend to add eyeballs to everything I do. I really love that. And then on the pockets, each side has its own design. And as you can see, I used a lot of red, although reds, yellows, oranges, and a sort of rusty colour as my main colours. And they're not all the same hue because I didn't have enough thread, but I think that just adds a more interesting dimension. I went around the buttonholes, I overstitched the buttons, I went around the bottom. These are the crosses that I added all the way down the side, and I just secured each cross with a contrasting red stitch to keep it in place and just to add to it. You can also wear the coat with a high neck, so I was just showing that, and then this is just the slit at the back where I also added a little stitch of yellow with the idea that it would just pop out as you walk. And then you can see going up to the top, just with the idea of it being a sort of simple design, but one that's still pretty intricate and interesting, but you can see what it is from reasonably far away. And incidentally, I love how the blood at the top turned out because I didn't have enough red thread in one colour, so I used 4 different colours. But again, that just made it have a lot more dimension and a lot more interesting. So I think if you use the materials that you have instead of buying new things, it can sometimes lead to happy accidents, and being more frugal can often make you a lot more creative. So this is just me trying it on, and I really love how it turned out. I'm really excited to style it with a lot of different things because now it's in a colour palette I love. It has, you know, skulls, eyeballs, symbols. This is all very much my classic style. So there it is. Thank you so much for joining me today with my customization project. And speaking of customization, I also would just quickly show you these 2 necklaces. I made them many years ago in Nepal using some different dead stock beads and some antiques, but I just thought it would be fun to share because I just love handmade things and things that have a memory. So this is a Apsara, an angel, and this vintage pendant I got in Bhaktapur in Nepal. And this is a very special talisman, and I got that in one of my favorite antique shops in Kathmandu. And then I added these crystal beads and also some skulls, and yeah, that's my necklaces. And what else? And I just have a vintage dress on, my very probably my favorite set of bangles, also from Bhaktapur, my granny's watch, and this came off, so we have some elastic. And this stunning Rajasthani antique bracelet that I recently got. It's sort of like a crescent moon, and it was too big for me, so I just added this plaited thread with some macrame so I can just keep it, you know, in place on my wrist, and because I love wearing it every day and I don't want it to fall off. So yeah, thanks again for joining me. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this. I'm always upcycling something, so I think it will be fun to share more of that as I go on. And hope you're having a lovely day or evening wherever you are, and hope to see you again soon. Thanks. Bye.